In 1797, the mighty Shawnee leader Tecumseh returned to his birthplace along the beautiful Little Miami River at Old Town, north of Xenia. Tecumseh felt a sense of peace and pride as he had remembered his childhood, swimming in the clear and cool waters running freely through the beautiful valley, a valley filled with wildlife, majestic trees, wildflowers, and native grasses. He hoped with all his heart that his beloved Little Miami, so sacred to him and the Shawnee culture, would remain so forever. But Tecumseh knew all too well that change was on the horizon. Little did he suspect that less than 2 centuries later, the Little Miami would become a polluted river, lined with trash and dilapidated cottages. Old cars, water heaters, tires, trash, and sewage had turned his sacred river into little more than an urban ditch. Yet, there was hope. In 1967, a kindred spirit by the name of Glenn Thompson was ready to organize a rebirth for this little river. This avid outdoorsman and newspaper editor had a dream. He believed that the Little Miami and the spirit of Tecumseh could live again. He jumped to action, recruiting other passionate visionaries like Arthur Morgan, Charles Sawyer, and Skeets Fred, and founded a movement and an organization called Little Miami Incorporated. Together with river friends like Bob and June Morgan, Helen Black and Sudie Geyer, John Ruthven and Area Garden Clubs, Dave and Barbara Case, Don Hopkins and Fred Neiman, Judy Lever and Betty Rhodes. They and many others would reverse decades of degradation and create a corridor of green, restoring the river to the clear waters and healthy fish populations of long ago. They set out to restore the river's image and garner official recognition of the Little Miami's importance to nature and local people. Through their leadership, the Little Miami became the first state scenic river in 1969.
So it was easy to say, yes, I'd love to be a member of Little Miami Inc. when Glenn Thompson was pushing the idea. He happened to be a friend of my beloved mother-in-law. He was really a very, very lovable man who had the river and the woods along the river in his whatever he was interested in.
And as you know, later on, Glenn became so involved with, almost obsessed with the idea that he loved the river. He, of course, was the organizer of Little Miami Inc. And Glenn was organizing villages and townships, individuals way back in, I guess, in the 70s when I first met him, before there were really those threats, before there was much of a Beaver Creek or spreading east of Xenia or other things. But because of that, we jumped a little bit ahead of the development in the Greene, Montgomery, and Clark County areas as well.
After much hard work by thousands of helping hands, junk cars, run-down buildings, water heaters, tires, and so much more was removed from the river. The Little Miami became the first river in Ohio to be included into the National Wild and Scenic River System. Indeed, it became the first river in the nation to be declared unfit for national designation, and then, after much cleanup work by dedicated volunteers, receive the national designation.
I think the one and the most important one was the designation of the lower river to be a scenic river. the first urban river that got that designation, and that was very special, because probably the worst part of the river when Little Miami started was the lower section. So to have that designation was really very, very special. It was a year-long project, a special committee set up.
But official recognition and designation was only the beginning. The 105 miles of river would need permanent protection and much natural restoration. These 210 miles of riverbank were owned by private landowners, people who would play a vital role in the river's future. The Little Miami was lucky to have so many of these landowners join the conservation effort. It was these landowners and other supporters who had grown up along this river and knew it as a treasure worth protecting. Little Miami Incorporated's mission was indeed becoming a movement, with friendly landowners, supportive local leaders, and so many others who cared for this river. Over these early years, the organization's presidents and executive directors worked with dedicated board members and donors on numerous initiatives, ranging from river cleanups to land protection to the founding of the Little Miami Bike Trail. Little Miami Incorporated members went to Washington and Columbus to lobby successfully for $2 million of the first Rails to Trails funds to buy 45 miles of Penn Central Railroad along the river. Today, this work has paid handsomely in rejuvenated river towns.
It was a wonderful opportunity. It was recognized that way, but I don't think anybody could have seen how incredibly popular that trail became, not only for users, but now it's a magnet for home builders who are able to say, our development is within half a mile of the Little Miami Bike Trail, and it becomes a selling point for communities. And look what it's done in Loveland. Look what it's done in Morrow. You combine that with this river, it's magic.
Close to 1 million visitors enjoying the trail and the natural river valley each year. Over the many years, the organization, now known as the Little Miami Conservancy, has relentlessly made steady progress through a win-win approach which balances river protection with economic development. Indeed, this approach is the hallmark of the organization's success. Wide, natural riverfront buffers of trees and prairies and nature preserves were created by the Little Miami Conservancy. Glenn's corridor of green was taking shape, and with shoulder-to-shoulder efforts by the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and local park districts and conservation agencies, over half of the Little Miami riverfront is now formally protected as nature preserves, state parks, scout camps, public well fields, and more. The kinship that so many have with the river stems in large part from their enjoyment of its wild and scenic bounty. Bob and June Morgan and 6 other canoe liveries should be thanked for introducing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people and youngsters to the Little Miami. Like Tecumseh, so many now have a lifelong love affair with the Little Miami, a love affair that often begins by experiencing the natural sounds, sights, and feel of this river.
Certainly remembering, the roots, where we came from, where this river, started from, and the beautiful river that it is, and the efforts of those individuals in the past that helped form the foundations of Little Miami Conservancy, helped protect it. My parents, that passion that's in us, we try to impart upon our guests to whatever degree we can. That we have a huge responsibility in educating folks through using this river. Take a canoe trip down a beautiful river, to go camping along a beautiful stream like the Little Miami River, I really think is invaluable, and it's something that I hope with all the smartphones and everything else, there'll never be an app for a canoe trip.
Over the years, river outfitters like River's Edge and Loveland Canoe, church camps, scout troops, and others have played an important role in introducing the river's natural wonders to those who would become its strongest advocates for protection and restoration.
Well, my interpretation of LMC's, what their role is, we're the only player at the table that's going to protect the river, whether it be from development or to put some political pressure on increasing the, say, quality of the wastewater treatment plants. That was one of the things that came up. While LMC cannot force that to happen, I believe our presence contributed, say, to the continued increase in the quality of the wastewater, removing of phosphorus, all those things that have occurred. If there isn't that powerful advocate organization, then lots of things, I think, don't actually ever get done. There has to be someone there that they know is watching.
Helping foster the next generation of river advocates is a necessary part of the organization's conservation success. In 2006, the Little Miami Conservancy opened its popular education center along the bike trail in historic downtown Loveland, a cooperative effort with the City of Loveland, the Green Acres Foundation, Ohio EPA, and many other sponsors like Wes Archibald, Brad Norris, and the YOT Foundation. The Conservancy's River and Trail Center reaches out to thousands annually with conservation publications and popular wildlife programs. Program partners like Raptor Incorporate and the Claremont County Park District have opened the curious eyes of youngsters of all ages to the river's natural splendor. Traveling to area schools with the Conservancy's children's book, Smallmouth Sunny of Bass Island Bar, the organization is reaching new hearts and minds that will help carry on Glenn's dream.
Life beneath the surface of the Little Miami River. That's one of my favorite subjects, and I love to teach kids about that because I have found that they are so interested, they're so excited by life beneath the surface, the creatures and critters that they can actually see and touch, that it just cuts right across video games and other things that challenge their time. And I've actually experienced that.
And fishermen have a new Bible to fishing the Little Miami with the Conservancy's other book written by our good friend Steve Coomer.
Yeah, people from out of state who don't know about the river, when they ask, why is this, what's the big deal about the Little Miami? And, you think of a 110-mile long river that flows through a major population center, Dayton, Cincinnati, 110 miles, virtually free-flowing, pretty high water quality, amazing recreational resource, amazing scenic resource. It's the Little Miami in the Cincinnati Art Museum. I'm sure people have seen the Blue Hole by Robert Duncanson, I guess it is. It's internationally celebrated in landscape painting. I mean, this is worth preserving. It's a gem.
If we don't continue to be vigilant, the fine quality of the river and the bike trail and so on will deteriorate, because there's always going to be challenges, and I'm afraid a lot of people who canoe or fish or bike just take it for granted that it's this way and it's always going to be this way and it always has been. They don't know what it's taken to make it what it is today.
The river also has, and I've seen a number of them, and quite a number of them over the last couple of years, of bald eagles. They'll be setting up in the trees in my yard, and once you see a bald eagle, there's no question about what it is, because it's just so obvious.
you might see somebody just with a pair of binoculars at one of the parks nearby the Little Miami River, and you just say, "Hi, have you seen any birds?" And boy, that is enough to get them interested. And then you start selling the Little Miami Inc. concept, and a lot of these people are very interested in the river but unaware of how they can help to protect it. I would say bird watchers are a big user group that I have run into and found very interested in the river. Of course, paddlers, kayakers, canoers, and fishermen. But sometimes you just see people along the river just sitting and enjoying the solitude and the sounds and the scenery of the river. But it's very important for this area to have a spot like that to retreat to.
I can't express to you the amount of pleasure I've had in 53 years of racing canoes on the nation's rivers, going out to practice, taking people out on the rivers in canoes. Well, that's been superseded largely by kayaks, but still there's some canoes out there. I can't express what pleasure it is to be able to run in Sharon Woods year after year after year. Now it's 40 years I've been running in Sharon Woods. So these are quality of life things that become rather important to us if we've passed the point where we have to do more than scratch for a living.
The Little Miami Conservancy's challenge continues. With close to half of the riverfront corridor lacking formal natural protection and urban development pressures throughout the watershed continuing, your volunteer and financial support for the Little Miami Conservancy is as important as ever.
We do have this cadre of expertise, and I would be very remiss if I didn't say that Eric Partee has dedicated a significant part of his life to the Little Miami and is the depository of the knowledge of the Little Miami River. And the people we have to and want to deal with to protect more of the river, the property owners or the government officials whose support we need, or perhaps the government officials who need our support. What I really want to point out is the quality of the people that serve on our board of directors, their diverse interests, but we get together for an evening, and I'm always excited of the conversations we have, and I think some other people have been interviewed today. It really is a terrific organization that we all give our time enthusiastically and lovingly.
Together, we can continue to work wonders, natural wonders, along the Little Miami. You, and you alone, can keep this Little Miami dream alive and well by becoming a Little Miami Conservancy member and continuing your vital membership support. Along with your volunteer efforts, this river, this national treasure, will continue to enrich our lives in so many ways for generations to come. Thanks for your support.